You are live. Nina, Vicky and all them are here.
Let me check.
Do you want to? How do we get your screen off? Because we can see both you now. Oh, I just left you the room. How do I ask you?
Join it now.
Yeah.
Like normal.
Yeah, I think we'll be alright. Good. So this is, let's view this as a bit of a test. So Irene, hi Irene, thank you for saying you can hear me. That's good. Lucy can hear us and see us. Not a good thing, say. So there's about 124 people have signed up tonight. So we'll let a little bit of time go by. Welcome Arta from Holland. And Farida. So this is a new platform that we've got called Webinar Jam. And for those that were on the last conference, complaining a little bit about the quality. So hopefully some of the videos that we play tonight and the quality will be a lot better. So it seems like everybody can hear us okay. So feel free to chat away, guys. We very much value your input. And for those that are involved with therapies as well, if you've got experience that you can share, then we're very interested in hearing about success stories so that we can share them with the rest of the group. So we've got some high definition videos that we've prepared. So it might take 30 seconds, they recommend, just for it to load and the quality to come through. When I was testing it, some lip syncing was a little bit out. So we'll see how we go tonight with that. So welcome Betty, Tom, Claudia, and Andy from, Andy Barry's here from Australia, guys. So thanks for getting up early, Andy. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning, I think, where you are. So I'll turn my screen on, so you don't want to be looking at me for long. So everybody, I can only see my big screen now with this topic that we're going to discuss tonight. So you may have been the type that of therapist that when you started doing the BICOM treatments, you thought, I certainly don't want to have people with cancer come in. One, I don't want to be involved in possible ramifications of been tempted to say you might be treating cancer, which we know we don't say. And often people come to see us when it's too late as well. So you're worried about that. You're worried about having to deal with people that have got cancer. So it can be quite a daunting subject, and many may have decided originally not to see people that have got cancer. But of course, as time goes on, patients do come, and what do? Do you turn them away? Well, that's not really a possible option, really, to turn people away. And we don't have to treat cancer because cancer is caused by a compromised immune system, as we know. So I started doing research into what it was that could compromise the immune system. And I came across 3 doctors, a Dr. Hulda Clark, Dr. Seaman Sini, and also Raymond Rife, who was involved in cancer in the very early stages. They all identified various things that could weaken the immune system. And unfortunately, many of those said that they had found the cure by treating those individual things, which led to problems for them, as we know. But as therapists, what we can do is we can take those possible triggers, such as candidiasis, parasites and viruses, and think, well, should we test our patients? Should we see if our patients have got any of these? Because if they have, then if we clear these from the body, then possibly the body's got a better chance of fighting the cancer. So that's what we set out to do, and have had great results from doing so. So we wanted to share some of those things with you today, and also help you to do the same things. Now, there's going to be very experienced therapists on tonight, and we can share experiences of successful treatments that we've done with candidiasis, for instance. Now, we've prepared lots of videos. In fact, I got a bit carried away this last month, and we've got well over an hour's worth of videos, so we won't have time to play them all tonight. So what we thought we could do is focus on the candida, and to do that, we've prepared a little leaflet. This one here. I'll just give it time to load. So last month we introduced the leaflet for inflammation, and this time we've got a leaflet for candida. We'll send you the link so that you can download this leaflet. So it folds 3 ways, does this. So it just shows the candidiasis on the front. And we find a lot of people come and they have sugar cravings. They might not think they have, but when you're discussing with them, they soon find out that they've crave sugar. They suffer from depression, bloating, lots of other things. So we work with the candida fairly quickly. It's quite important. So on the back of this leaflet, you'll see that we've got suggested BICOM programs. These are from Sabine Rausch, mainly from her conference, where she had 2 options of treating candida with the BICOM using a lower deep frequency, 17.8 hertz. So we've got a video at the end of this to show you how to create your own programs using these parameters. And the back of the the inside of the leaflet, again, I'll just give you a few moments for that to load. But we wanted to educate clients into what they could do to help get rid of candida. So some of the things can be mercury fillings, diabetes, sugar, toxins in the water, an acidic environment as well, undue stress, even the contraceptive pill and antibiotics. They can all cause candida to bloom in the body. So there are things we can do to help those be cleared from the body. So I'll just come out of this now, see if I end up going back. And with a few more in the room now. So we'll go to see if the videos run. And here we are. So this video is taken from just a small snippet of what our upcoming online training is going to be like. So this will give you a little bit of a flavour of what we're going to be doing on the online training. So this is a section on candidiasis, and we'll set this running now. So what we're going to look at in this section is, what is Candida? How big a problem is it? What's the cause of Candida overgrowth and how we can treat it? Also on the BICOM, we're going to look at using the pilot to run individualized Candida treatments and directly on the device as well. And we're going to look at what supplements and dietary changes we can advise our client. Well, as BICOM therapists, we encounter many symptoms that are often attributed to Candida infections. In fact, the problem of Candida overgrowth is much more widespread than many are aware of, and it remains undiagnosed by many doctors. Many sufferers are explaining their symptoms only to be given a cocktail of medications, and over the months trying to address problems such as tiredness, irritability, skin conditions, irritable bowel, food intolerances, and the list goes on. And these medications often aggravate the problem and bring other complications through side effects. It's one of the most rewarding avenues of our work when we first meet clients that are overloaded with these problems and symptoms and desperate for a solution. For us to be able to bring swift relief to their suffering is a joy. And it's great to hear excited patients reveling in the fact that their sugar cravings have reduced, the headaches and bloating and bowel discomfort is easing, and they seem to have more energy than before. For our treatments to be successful, the patients have to be engaged in the process. Progress is made much more quickly when the patients follow advice and make the dietary changes needed. So let's have a look at what is Candida. Well, Candida albicans is a fungus that, if allowed to overgrow, causes candidiasis. It overgrows for a number of reasons, particularly when the intestinal flora becomes unbalanced. This weakens the immune system and affects the patient's ability to digest food. And like other parasites within the body, Candida also releases waste products, which adds further stress to the body. Candida is a yeast in its initial form, and we all know what happens when small amounts of yeast are allowed to ferment. Imagine what is happening within your gut when over 80 byproducts are being released. An even greater problem is when Candida moves from a yeast form to a fungal form. The fungal form grows branches or hyphae, which can penetrate the intestinal wall and cause leaky gut syndrome. When particles of undigested food exit through the intestinal wall, the food particles end up in the wrong places of the body and trigger an immune response. It is this immune response that can cause a complex array of symptoms and food intolerances or allergies. Leaky gut has been associated with autoimmune diseases like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, multiple sclerosis, ulcerative colitis, and rheumatoid arthritis. Latest research has found that Helicobacter pylori works in a symbiotic relationship with Candida and causes Crohn's disease. Candida will also exit the intestinal wall and end up in the bloodstream, where it continues to release byproducts such as ethanol and acetaldehyde. One leading doctor even told me that Candida is a natural fungus that helps the body to decompose when we die, so we certainly don't want that proliferating our bodies. Visible symptoms include such things as fungal nail infections, eczema, oral and vaginal or penile thrush. Cognitive symptoms can be brain fog, depression, dizziness, panic attacks and anxiety and a low sex drive, insomnia and fatigue. There are also the signals such as digestive disorders, breathing disorders, allergies and pain in various parts of the body. Well, how big is the problem? Well, a German research study conducted in 2004 found that 70% of people have Candida albicans present in their intestinal tract. But just because it's present, it doesn't mean that it's overgrowing. Other healthy bacteria could be keeping it under control. People with a healthy diet of mainly raw vegetables, nuts, etc., don't have high intakes of sugar or being prescribed antibiotics. Well, in fact, actually, one round of antibiotics can kill the good gut bacteria that may have taken 10 years to develop. Antibiotics can act like chemotherapy, destroying the finely balanced reef system of our gut. If you ask your doctor what the side effects of antibiotics can be, or if you read the labels that come with the drugs, it will give thrush as a possible side effect, which we know is Candida overgrowth. For those with compromised immune systems, candidiasis can actually be a killer. According to some reports, Candida is the 4th largest cause of infections acquired in hospitals. So why does Candida overgrow? Well, the gut is full of microorganisms. Not including water, 60% of our stool are these very organisms, over 500 species in total. This good bacteria prevent the Candida from overgrowing. They keep it in its place. Our good bacteria eat up the food they need that we eat, and there is little left for the Candida. However, if we reduce our good bacteria, such as using antibiotics, and we eat too much sugar, there's plenty of sugar and other bad foods that the Candida can eat, and therefore it will grow. The Candida is trying to create the right environment for them to develop into the fungal form. And like other parasites, they can actually change our habits and cause cravings, especially sugar cravings. So how do we treat it? Well, with a multifaceted approach. There's dietary changes involved. There's BICOM programs. There's antifungals and probiotics. Well, before we jump onto the BICOM machine, let's look at some dietary changes we will be advising our patients. We need to starve the Candida by cutting out all types of sugar. This includes soft drinks, cordials, beer, whiskey, wines, biscuits, sweets, anything containing refined sugars, but it also includes fruits with high sugar content, such as grapes, oranges, peaches and plums. The BICOM is very effective in treating Candida. We have had patients report reduced sugar cravings and intestinal discomfort easing after only one treatment, but we always suggest a minimum of 4 treatments. In addition to these programs, we always run substance complexes such as nystatin or amphotericin, and we suggest probiotics. Making your own sauerkraut is a great idea. Now, this BICOM program is where we'll need to use the individualized programs, which will show you how to do it. This is the first recommendation from Dr. Sabine Rausch. It includes a basic therapy according to the conductance value, then removing blockages, then doing elimination organs, and in the input cup we put the Candida ampule from the CTT test set, that is the virus and fungi test set. The output is the modulation mat, and you'll see from the screen we are using AI, low deep frequency, bandpass of 17.8 Hz, no wobbling, amplification sweep, and an amplification of 15, and an amplification sweep rate of 50. The therapy time is 12 minutes, and in the second channel we can use things such as nystatin, borax 6, propolis, echinacea, wobenzine and ferrocin. And then afterwards it's always good to support the patient with one of the pink ampules. We can use the corresponding tested pink elimination ampules, which we would always test with the patient, but for instance the elimination of mycotoxins would be an obvious choice. We always need to test therapy time and amplification. Then we're going to move on to the second Candida program. This is the second recommendation from Dr. Rausch. Again, it's the basic therapy, then we do blockages, then we do elimination organs. The input cup again is the Candida ampule. output is the modulation mat, and we can also use the brass balls on both of these programs with red leads, with patients holding both in each hand. We again are using the AI low deep frequency bandpass 17.8 Hz, but this time we're going to add a wobbling which just moves either side of that 17.8 Hz. And the other change is we're moving from a 15 amplification down to 10. So how successful are these programs? Well, Dr. Rausch said that in 198 of the patients who were treated with these two programs, after just running the first recommendation, only 7 patients needed a second treatment. You can test afterwards by provoking the candida using 196 for say 3 minutes and retesting after 10 minutes. And if the candida is no longer resonating, then we know that we've been successful removing it from the body. A good probiotic that we use is Simprove. It's one of the only ones that have been scientifically tested to survive the stomach acid, so we recommend that too. So have fun running these programs and certainly let us know of your success. Of your success. So there we go. That's just one of the videos. Sorry about the spelling mistake there. A little aggravating. That's due to rushing, I think. So we can have a discussion about that if anybody's got any suggestions or questions over those therapies. Has anybody been trying those? We've done that quite regularly and we found similar results, maybe not quite as good as Dr. Rausch. She was maybe doing a lot of other things as well, but certainly we find that more than one of the treatments is needed, more than once. The first recommendation, we might do it a couple of times and then we'll try maybe the second recommendation on the 3rd week. But usually definitely people come back and say that after the first treatment they feel that the sugar cravings have been reduced quite significantly too. So with no questions there, so we'll go on to the doing an individual program on the BICOM. Now if you use the pilot, that's fine. We've got a video for doing it on the pilot, but it's always good to be able to do things on the machine as well. If your software stops working or you lose the connection, then it can be quite embarrassing if you've got a patient with you and you don't know how to jump onto the BICOM. So we're going to run this little video now, an instructional video on how you actually set up those protocols on the BICOM machine. So this is the demonstration for creating an individual program, and we occasionally need to create individual programs if we want to fine-tune a specific treatment. In this case we're using Dr. Sabine Rausch's program for Candida, and she found with her experience that using the low deep frequencies and the CTT ampules, she could have very effective treatments for Candida. So what we're going to do here is create an individual program and then save it so that we can call it back whenever we need it. Now the principles are the same on the B22 mobile and the B22 desktop. It's a little bit more complex on the 2000 because we don't have the colour screen, but the settings are exactly the same and they can be saved the same way as well. So starting from the home screen, we need to select number 5, which is single parameter. So we go to 5 here, and then you'll notice from your handout in the manual we need an AI program. So we can either scroll up or down with the keys, or we can just simply press 2, because if you notice it says AI equals 2, so press number 2. And you'll also notice that we need a low deep frequency on this one, so I can again scroll up and down or just press 2, and then it asks us whether we want to select the bandpass. Now you'll notice that the bandpass is affixed, we know what it is, it's 17.8 Hertz for this program. So we then select 2, the bandpass. So here we're going to change the bandpass to 17.8 Hertz. Now I can do that by punching pressing the numbers on the touch screen, but just so that you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to move this way, up and down with the up and down arrows, or I can just enter 17.8 Hertz and then enter. So that's the easiest way to do it. Now this is the wobbling section, and what that means is you can have a set frequency of 17.8 Hertz, and then you can jump either side of that. So for instance, if the frequency was 100 kilohertz, it would wobble 91 to 91 and to 112. It would move either side of that 100 kilohertz, but we don't want wobbling on this particular program. So then we go to enter. And then here we're looking at amplification. Now what we want here is increasing and decreasing. So we press 6, and then it's asking for the amplification, and if you notice from your instructions, we need 15 here. So we go 1, 5, 0, 0, and then enter. And then we're looking for the sweep speed here. And again, if you look at your instructions, we want 50 seconds. So we go 5, 5, 0, and it won't let us do it. So we have to go up manually like this to 50 seconds. And then enter. And therapy time, we need 12 minutes on this one. Enter. And then here we have the checking all the parameters that we've got everything. So we're just looking at these here, making sure that everything's correct. And then it looks all correct. So then we want to go to save. And here you can just enter the number. Now it will automatically choose a number, which is the next one available in the machine. But I'd like to have a name on this so that we can find it from the menu a lot easier. So if we notice here it says indication, and if we press the dot, this means we can add text just like you would with a keyboard or your phone. And if I go to type here, and then I'm going to do Candida 1 because this is the first recommendation. Then I'm going to go enter. Program was successfully saved. Now there's a number of ways to get back to this program. If we go to the home screen, for instance, and then if we go to program here, 3, our programs, we can select our own 3, and here you'll notice that the Candida program is here. So we'll notice there that it's an AI. So at this point we need to add the Candida ampule from the Viruses and Fungi kit, ampule 35, and put that into the input cup. The patient just has the modulation mat on the back, or if you like, you can use the brass balls, one in each hand with a red cable. And just before we run this, we do actually want to put something in the second channel. Now you can create a number of vials with the suggested remedies in them, such as nystatin, borax 6, propolis, echinacea 4, or wobenzym, or amphotericin. And if you've got all those, then they can all go in together. but we haven't, so we're just going to use the second channel. So we press the second channel, we use stored substances 2, and if we go to alphabetical, and I'm looking for nystatin, so if I just put those there and it's there, press enter, and then if we go start, and here we have our Candida program that we've created. We can see it's an AI, so we're inverting the Candida mix. It's got 12 minutes and we're running nystatin in the second channel and 17.8 Hertz, so we can see everything's been set up correctly there. So after the program's run, we're now going to support the patient afterwards by doing some of the pink ampules from the fungi test set. So we're going to remove the Candida mix ampule because this next program is going to be on an A. Now we can test the pink ampules, but in this case the patient needs elimination of mycotoxins. So I'm going to put the mycotoxins ampule into the machine. We're going to go to program number, which we know is 192. Enter the dot, and then enter, enter. And so we can see we've got the CTT ampule in the cup. We're doing mode A, and we're ready to go. And we press start and start again. And this is now the program to eliminate mycotoxins. And then when we finish, we can tensor test or muscle test or use the EAP pen to see if the program's needed or not needed anymore. So we'd rarely run it for the 30 minutes. Okay, so hope that was clear for everybody. That come through, Chris?
Yeah.
So hope that was clear for everybody. I've had a couple of questions about whether it can be used on the 2000. Unfortunately, the 2000 doesn't have the low D frequencies, so the protocol can still be run like that, but not at the 17.8 Hertz. It'd have to be the other frequency. So there might be some experienced 2000 users on here that can maybe comment on what the best frequency to run that particular protocol is at. So are there many here on the using the pilot? Because there are some good ways of using the pilot for that program where you can actually store the low deep frequency and the nystatin. We'll have a look at that just briefly. It's only quite short. So this is an instructional video to show you how to create an individual program using the Pilot software, and this is the same process for any machine, any BICOM machine. If we're using the Pilot, it's just the same. So just as a little bit of housekeeping, when you open the Pilot software, always make sure that the machine connects correctly. So if we notice here at the right hand side at the top, it says connected B32 mobile. So it's always essential to make sure we've connected correctly. And also on the front of the BICOM device, it will say Pilot software controls BICOM. So to create an individual program, we don't actually have to select a patient. We can just go straight to the therapy window. So we click on the tab here, which is next to patient, the therapy window, and this will be a screen that you're probably
familiar with now. Now, there are a number of ways to create an individual program. We can take an existing program and individualize it and then resave it as a new program. So if there's a favorite program that you've got that you just want to be able to adjust some of the settings, then that's how we do it. But we won't demonstrate that because we'll demonstrate starting from scratch, which is a little bit more complex. So we'll go to individual program now, and here we'll see a screen that contains all the settings that we can change. So with therapy mode here, and there's all the various therapy modes, and what we need, if you look at your documentation for the first recommendation for Candida therapy, it's an AI because we're using the Candida mix in the input cup. So therapy mode is AI. We have an option here to select low deep frequency or normal. Well, looking at the list, you'll see it's 17.8 Hertz that we need, which is a low deep frequency. So we go to low deep frequencies by selecting low deep frequency. Here it just gives you an indication that it's 1 to 25 Hertz, so we know we're in the low deep frequencies. So we go straight down to 17.8 Hertz. It's easier to grab the scroll bar and move down. So 17.8 Hertz. These test buttons that you see, they're for if you want to do an individual program while a patient's with you, you can actually test which is the best frequency for them. But this one has been tried and tested by hundreds of therapists, and it's accepted that 17.8 Hertz is a good frequency for a number of things, but particularly the Candida that we're looking at now. So we keep these settings here, which we need for the low deep frequency setting. Then we need an AI of 15. So to do that, we have to select constant and then move down to 15 amplification, and then we're going to select the symmetrical sweep as per the instructions. And this has opened up this new box of the time step, so you'll see that that should be 50 seconds. So we're going to move now to 50 seconds. And there we go. And the therapy time should be 12 minutes. If you notice, again, you can test that when you're treating somebody, but we'll just set it at 12 for the moment. What's really good as well is we can actually use the second channel when we're using the pilot. So it will store the substance complex that we want to use. So you could use an external substance complex that you put into the yellow cup or the honeycomb. But in this instance, we're going to use one that's built into the Bicon machine. So we'll go to substance complex, and you notice it jumped to that. And I'm going to type NY here for nystatin, and you'll notice that nystatin's there. And then we select it and assign, and it takes us back to the programming screen, and you'll see in the second channel we now have nystatin. We would need to press apply if we're going to run this as a therapy straight away, but in this case we're going to store this as our own therapy program. So once we're confident that we've got everything laid out as it should be, we press store as own therapy program. Now you'll notice it again, like all the others, it looks, the program number is the next available one that's in the free in the machine. Yours might be 1003, 1004, depending on how many programs you created. So we want to call this something that's easy to find, so we're going to call it Candida 1. And you can put notes in there if you need to. So we'll go OK, and we can just start it there, but just to make sure that it's saved, if we go back to therapy program and then type just Candida or just can, you'll see that this is our program here that we've just created, program number 1000 Candida. Move it across, and because it's an individual program, it asks you this checkbox. We'll go OK there, And if we click it once, we'll notice down here that these settings match exactly what we were asked to do in the instructions. Then we can press start. And you'll notice now that the front of the BICOM is running just as we've got these settings here. So I'll stop that, and I'll just delete everything here, because also what I can show you is if you go here and just type program 1000 and press enter, it puts it straight in there as well. So there's two ways of finding this program. So now we're going to show you how to do the second Candida program, individual program. Now if you do this at the same time, when you go back to individual program, all the settings from your previous program are already stored, so there's not a lot of things to change here, apart from we need frequency wobbling on this time. So as we described in the instructions for doing it straight on the machine, it moves one side to the other, so slightly lower than 17.8, slightly higher than 17.8. And then the amplification needed to be at 10, so if we go down to 10 now, and this, the time step is 50 seconds, the same, just those two things that needed changing. And then if we store this as our own therapy program, and you'll notice now it's 1001 because we've already put the first Candida program in. Then we go to indication and we'll put Candida 2. There we go, and then go OK, and that's now stored. So if we're to check that, we go back to therapy program, and if we now type Candida, we'll notice that we've got Candida 1 and 2 in here. Move Candida 2 across, click it, and these settings here are exactly what we inputted. And that finishes this instruction.
So thanks for watching that, everybody, and all the comments as well. It's really good to have the experience of Andy on there and Cassandra as well. Thank you very much for those comments. These chat discussions will be saved, so that's important. We can distribute those to everybody, so feel free to put what you can in the way of tips to help. So that was a good tip from Andy, that 17.8 hertz you don't have to use, you can use 18 hertz on the BICOM, so that was good. Also, Nina mentioned about the Crohn's disease. So there was an article done last year by What Doctors Don't Tell You magazine, with some latest research that, as Chris mentioned, Candida and Helicobacter actually work together and create a very unhealthy environment in the gut. So anybody with Crohn's disease, or even anybody with gut issues, we always test Candida and Helicobacter, and we usually find both of them. And we treat the Helicobacter like we would treat the Candida. So that's very, very important. We actually had a patient came with Crohn's disease, and they'd done everything that they could, but actually made the situation a lot worse with the medications and other things that they were doing. And they said the only option that she had was to cut away 6 foot of a large intestine. But after treating the Candida and Helicobacter and putting out a lot of the food intolerances, for the first time in many months, she was actually able to have normal bowel movements. So it's very important to work with the Candida and the Helicobacter as well. So have a go with that, Nina. You've got both those ampules in the kits that you've got. So now we're just going to do a little bit of a historical look well, it's not historical actually, because Dr. Simoncini is still treating people with cancer in Italy, but is now doing it all over the world, as you'll see from the video. And he was ostracized for the fact that he was treating people with bicarbonate of soda, injecting it directly into the tumour. So this is just more as an educational exercise rather than recommending any particular therapy. So we'll run this one.
Dr. Simoncini, an oncologist from Italy, claimed that cancer is caused by the fungus Candida albicans and that it can be cured with injections of sodium bicarbonate. He also said that in his research on these findings, it led to him being struck off in Italy, even though he couldn't harm a patient. Well, this serves as a warning for all those people that say they can cure cancer. Dr. Young in the USA is facing prison over his use of bicarbonate. This has just hit the headlines in the UK. It came first to the attention of Dr. Simoncini when he was in his 20s at university. He knew that psoriasis was a fungal problem and had been treating it with iodine, as this is an antifungal agent. As they couldn't administer iodine intravenously in the hospital, they used bicarbonate on the tongues of children to remove fungal infections in the mouth. It's not about the alkalinity of the body or the bicarbonate, but it's just that the bicarbonate is an antifungal. He found that cancer was caused by fungus and could be treated in a similar way. The fungal infection disrupts the immune system, which goes on to create a tumour. The problem was that he was saying that he was curing cancer. He says that he had informed the patients of what he was doing, and some of the patients had been told by the medical experts that there was no hope for them following their diagnosis and treatment of cancer. He states that doctors would like to use his protocol, but are prevented by the medical industry. He says that it's been done secretly by others. Cancer UK says that there is no scientific evidence that this works. Dr. Simoncini's response is that there is corruption in the world and that the medical industry is very powerful. There is no interest in his work as it's too simple. When questions about respected oncologists not accepting what he says it's because they are not informed correctly by the medical schools and that research on alternative methods is hindered. Quackwatch says that his work is dangerous and that he was convicted of manslaughter for administering baking soda. He refutes this and says that the woman who died was never treated by him, but he only spoke with her on the phone. He says that he's saved many people using his baking soda treatments. He now avoids treating Italian patients and works internationally on a referral basis, focusing on fungal infections. So how can we use this information to help our patients? Well, we can test for Candida using the Candida mix ampule, and there are other tests the patients can do, such as Candida immune complex and a test from IgM or IgA and IgG antibodies done by your doctor. But often symptom-related diagnosis can help too,